Southwest Florida. You are tuning into the Divine Destiny Radio Show. I am your host, Lady J.
Co-host Trella Bella.
And this is Angie B. What's up, everybody?
We are talking about the truth about AIDS, and this is part 2. We are going to go right now to our scripture that we also shared on last week, Leviticus 17 and 14.
Again, Leviticus chapter 17, verse 14 says, For as for the life of all flesh is in its blood is identified with its life. So whatever is actually in your blood travels throughout your entire body. Whatever is in those cells is actually traveling throughout the body as well. So if it's a virus that is causing damage to your blood and to different cells in your body, that virus is traveling to every organ, every tissue, every cell in your body as well.
With 9/11 coming up, I always think about that. It's like when 9/11 came, it was like so devastating to everybody.
Right.
You know, you saw it everywhere, you heard it, you see the different shows and documentaries, and every 2 minutes we were crying, you know, every time something comes on the TV, or, you know, somebody found out that their husband wasn't coming home, or this unborn child would never see their dad, and it was such a hype. And now it's almost like it's just an anniversary.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like it just died out, and that's what happened with AIDS. When it, you know, there was a time where you always heard about AIDS, you always heard about what was going on, and now it's like it's almost like it's the norm.
Right.
We have become so complacent that we are not consistently educating on an open basis. I mean, yes, if you go to a place where that's what they do, you expect to get that. So I think that a combination of all those things has caused people to really step back from the seriousness of it. You know, it is a disease that there is no cure. But right now we are going to touch on our teenagers. And I saw this statement and it really made me think. And then it really made me want to lock my daughter up. It says some parents would rather do anything than talk to their kids about sex. Teen sex is their nightmare, and they hope that by not talking about it, or by just talking about virginity, that their teens will never have any. Sadly, it doesn't work like that. Not talking about sex with your children doesn't stop them from hearing about it. It just stops them from hearing about it from you. Wouldn't you rather know that the information they were getting was good and accurate and designed to help them make the best choices possible? I mean, you have a choice. Either you're going to talk about it or you're not.
Right.
But you're not going to stop it
From happening.
unless you lock them in a basement for the rest of their life. They flip the TV on, they walk down the street, they go to the grocery store, music is playing, driving past them. It is everywhere. You cannot just think that the kids that they're blind, they don't see, they don't hear. You have to sit down and talk to them and stop patty caking and giving them cute little names. Tell them what it is. If you have to go pull out a nursing book, give them the accurate names for stuff.
And thinking that they're too young to have the discussion, because whatever, I'm not sure what segment that we had, but the youngest person to have a child was 9.
Right.
So they, you know, they ain't too young. You know, it's out there. They hear it. They see it.
And for you young, for ones with these daughters, if they are old enough to have a menstrual cycle, you better talk to them. There are 5 facts that teens should know about HIV and AIDS.
Okay, number 1 is HIV does not discriminate.
Amen.
You got that right. It says, since the epidemic began over 20 years ago, stereotypes have surfaced as to who HIV-infected people are. White, gay males, drug users, and prostitutes are labeled as the faces of HIV and AIDS. The fact is that anyone can get HIV. From elderly men and women living in nursing homes to teens planning their next prom.
Amen.
Men and women, adults and children, rich or poor, the homeless and the college professor, HIV can affect anyone who doesn't take the proper precaution. Number 2 was oral sex is not as safe as you think.
And we talked about that last week.
Oral sex is often thought as the safer sex. Many adolescents believe that oral sex is a safe way to engage in sex free from the worry of pregnancy and disease. The truth is that oral sex is not as safe as you think. Studies have shown that infected bodily fluids, such as semen and vaginal secretions, have high concentrations of HIV that can enter the bloodstream through the mucous membranes of the mouth. Number 3, there's more to worry about than pregnancy. Many teens still believe that the only risk associated with unprotected sex is pregnancy. So to prevent pregnancy, teens use birth control techniques such as oral sex or the withdrawal method, pulling out. prior to ejaculation in an effort to prevent pregnancy. Unfortunately, there is more to be concerned about. Infection with STDs, including HIV, is for life, meaning there is no cure. HIV, syphilis, and herpes are real concerns that, if contracted, will actually live with you for a lifetime.
Right, and then they need to understand also that when they contract these other STDs that are not necessarily life-threatening, if you will,
right,
because you have these things, it makes your body more susceptible to getting HIV.
Number 4, it says, sometimes people hide the truth. Sometimes people, or they don't know. So again, number 4, sometimes people hide the truth or they don't know. Think about it for a minute. How many people will admit that they have been HIV infected if asked by a new lover in their life? How many people will admit that their sexual history, when they are trying to win the affections of a new love, of a new love interest, how many will actually confess how many partners they've been with? How many people really know their HIV status and the status of the people they've been with in the past? A claim of my past partner was negative is only acceptable if it is backed up by a negative test. Ask the right questions and get the test.
But I have a caller on the line right now. Miss Elisa, how are you?
Good morning. How you guys doing this morning?
We are doing great this afternoon.
Well, I want to. This topic that you guys are discussing is so real because I'm an HIV and AIDS educator. So when it comes to it, what I ran across is a lot of the parents don't want to discuss it. They won't sign the papers for you to share with their children to let them know.
Wow.
But they're asking the questions because they want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't have the understanding that you can walk around with HIV for 25 years and not have AIDS. They don't even realize you can get chlamydia, gonorrhea in your eyes, in your nose, from that, the oral sex that you're having with the contracted diseases. The kids are having oral parties and thinking that it's safe sex, and it's not.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had any contact with any of the teens in this local area that may have the disease or are HIV positive?
Yes, I have.
Okay. How are they coping with the disease?
It's hard for them because now they feel like, okay, I don't have anyone to share this with. They have to have safe sex all the time, and if they don't tell their partner that they have it before they have sex, that's a third-degree felony. They can go to jail. Friends push them away. It's hard, even for the older adults. But I've had a chance to meet this young man who's been living with AIDS for 28 years now.
Wow.
If you was to see him, he looks just as normal. He's buff, he's cut, very attractive man. But he has full-blown AIDS.
Wow.
So the faces of AIDS is not like it used to be with the patches all over your skin. And you can't put a face on AIDS because they look just like you and me. What people fail to realize, you can't catch AIDS from eating out the same fork somebody ate out of, drinking out the same cup, eating off the same plate, a hug, a kiss. It takes a full bag of your saliva to infect somebody with HIV/AIDS. Who's going to sit there and drink all that? So there's no reason for you to be scared of them. You have to get it from blood-to-blood contact or unprotected sex. So don't sit there and treat them like they might be infected, true enough. But you don't even know the means that they became infected. It could have been through a blood transfusion. It could have been through rape.
Right.
It could have been through an incest or anything, or it could have just been through somebody who was curious, uneducated, and not knowing. So don't push them aside. Why? You don't want them to push you aside.
Right.
They're still a human being. They're still God's children.
A lot of people need to be educated on that part too. But we're going to go to break, but we want to thank you so much for calling and giving us your insight and your wisdom regarding the truth about AIDS.
And then number 5, HIV kills and there is no cure. People are living longer due to the advent of powerful HIV medications that help fight the virus. Unfortunately, the medications are not a cure. Liver disease, pneumonia, and serious infection of the brain and other internal organs are constant concerns for those living with HIV. The medications are not a quick fix to HIV infection. They are difficult to take and cause many side effects, such as fat accumulations in the stomach and neck, diarrhea, extreme fatigue, rashes, and vomiting.
When it first came out that AIDS existed, it was known as GRID, which is gay relations,
Right.
deficiency.
It was a stereotype for gay.
So everybody was like, "Oh my God, this is just for gay people. Only gay people get AIDS." Then we got aware to the fact that, hey, it's not just gay people.
Right.
Right, and a lot of the guys that are doing these, the gay relations, found out later on in life that they were some of the down low brothers as well. So you're bringing things back home as well.
Right. So the awareness went from, okay, it's no longer gay related. We're now seeing that everybody has it. So we're just gonna call it, what was the first? They put the A on it.
And we want to just leave some statistics for Lee County. We're going to bring it to the back door. But first of all, it says in 2008, an estimated 17,940 same-sex relationships with males were diagnosed with AIDS in the 50 states. That's 17,940 in 2008. That's 3 years ago. The District of Columbia and the U.S. dependent areas, an increase of 6% since 2005. By the end of 2007, an estimated 282,542 men with AIDS diagnosed has died in the United States in 5 dependent areas. So that means 4 years ago, an estimate by the end of 2000, we lost 282,542 men in same-sex relationships to this disease. And a lot of things that are catering to it really quick is the stigma and homophobia, racism, poverty, and lack of access to health, and also complacency about AIDS. A lot of the stigmas that are going on may have profound impact on the lives of the same-sex relationships, especially their mental and sexual health. Internalized homophobia may impact men's ability to make healthy choices, including decisions around sex and substance abuse. Stigma and homophobia may limit the willingness of those men in those same-sex relationships to access HIV prevention and care, also isolating them from family and community support, and create cultural barriers that inhibit integration into social networks.
Sure. We're known as Area A8. And this is just AIDS surveillance report for the end of 2010, so December 2010. It does have one for the whole state of Florida, but we just going to focus on Lee County. Males, 1,448 new cases. This is last year, December 2010. Females, 587 new cases. So that's AIDS. HIV, new cases reported in Lee County, 503. This is something that was pulled up again December 2010, and then in females, 284 new cases. This is HIV, so it's not full-blown AIDS yet.
Wow. That's a lot of cases for 1 year.
Wow.
We need to get educated, people.
Wow.
We need to get educated. But our time is up, and we just want to thank you so much for tuning in to Divine Destiny Radio. Today's topic was the truth about AIDS. We hope that you guys got educated, and we hope that you enjoyed the show. We are looking forward to talking to you again next week when we'll be talking about natural hair. So for all you natural hair ladies, please tune in. See you next week.
Love you.